Hello everyone, on today's episode of the 1 Year Challenge, we're going to talk about the science on creating a lasting and loving relationship. Hello everyone, as described in the intro, today I want to take some data from science and investigation into partnerships and relationships of the romantic kind and really break them down to help understand what are the factors that create relationship success using real data and science over the last 5 years. And as always, I'm going to begin with a quote, and that quote is, "You had me at hello, Jerry Maguire." It's a really short quote this week, but I'll read it one more time. "You had me at hello, Jerry Maguire." So I love that quote from Jerry Maguire, and the concept of "you had me at hello" really is a deep and meaningful understanding of how important relationships can be. We all know that sometimes people come into your life and they're so important and they mean so much to you that words, what they do, nothing matters. They can do no wrong. They have you at hello, and all you need to do now is really allow the relationship to flourish and blossom. So why do so many relationships fail? Well, unfortunately, we let a lot of things get in the way of our relationships. And I know that was true of me, especially in my early relationships, that they were effortless and easy in the first, 3 to 12 months. And then after that, our own neuroses or our own projections onto our partner started to really undermine what we were trying to achieve as a partnership. So today I want to go through some statistics that were developed by Happify, who amalgamate statistics on different parts of happiness, and really identify and see where we're at in our relationships and identify what we need to do. So the first statistic I'm going to share with you is 5 to 1. So 5 to 1 is the statistic of good couples have, or happy people in happy relationships have, versus people in unhappy relationships. And 5 is positive interactions versus 1 negative interaction. So that would mean for every fight you have 5 great dinners or date nights or adventures or belly laughs together. Now, what's super interesting is that this is an absolute necessity, because as humans, we're designed to process negative emotions twice as powerfully as happy emotions. An example would be, it's much more important when we're growing up as children or even as primates, if we go back in evolution, to know that a snake is poisonous versus a flower smells pretty. It's great that flower smells pretty and that brings happiness, but from an evolutionary point of view, it's much more important to imprint into your mind that that snake could kill you and end your ability to grow and ultimately procreate. So negative, whether it's just a snide remark or a snide comment, will require up to 3 or 4 positive interactions just to get rid of that negative interaction. So if you're in a relationship right now and it feels like for every good thing that happens, a bad thing happens, and you might say, well, it's 50-50. Unfortunately, based on the way your brain works, it's not 50-50. It's much, much more negative than that. We should always be aware of that, keeping that ratio high. The other one is the 4 key areas that people in happy relationships say that they're consistently working on, and one is compliments. We go through life and with the struggles and the strains, and we have mass marketing telling us we're not pretty enough, we're not good enough, and look at these celebs that we should be like. It really can drag you down, and having a supportive partner compliment you verbally, tell you how you look great today, or I love those shoes, is super important. It's the framework that we should hold up in a relationship. Appreciation, genuine appreciation. I was talking to this about to my friend yesterday. If men would have appreciated women earlier on, we wouldn't have all these problems we have now with, battle of the sexes. It really came down to not appreciating that women were raising the children, working their butts off at home to keep a household, and men never seemed to appreciate that. And obviously that flourished in a lot of negativity towards the feminine roles in our society. Memories. Reliving and sharing beautiful past memories is something that should be done regularly. They shouldn't be forgotten. Getting out the photos together is super important in order for you to realize and understand that you have a pathway or mechanisms for happiness, and you've done it in the past, you can do it now. And doing something for one another is the other key area that happy couples do, and it could be as simple as just doing the dishes. Small, tiny things, putting your partner's makeup out, or washing their car without them having to ask. It's just huge differences in a happy relationship. And if a happy relationship, and I'll go a bit later on, I'm going to quantify a happy relationship, is worth what it's worth, it's definitely worth doing these small things. One of the key things that happy couples do is they share experiences. You can start to see as a relationship starts to deteriorate that quite often the experiences that the individuals in the relationship want to have are with other people, friends or colleagues, and they start to do things like maybe take holidays alone, might start going on fitness regimes alone. Now, there's nothing wrong with spending some time alone, but wanting to share the most important experiences of your life is key to a happy relationship. And obviously having the other person wanting to share with those as well is key. There's a thing called the Michelangelo effect, and the Michelangelo effect is simply that we all want to be the best version of ourselves. And as we grow into that, having a supportive partner is at the key of a happy relationship. If your partner isn't growing with you, then you're dying together. And the Michelangelo effect is really at the core of happy couples exist from. They come from a place of wanting to grow together, become better people, help each other be better people. And that's really at the core of human growth and the need for human growth. So we're going to look at quantifying the effects of a happy relationship. So the statistics said that having a happy relationship is equal to $105,000 a year US in happiness. So to explain that, if you were to give a person $105,000 in money every year, extra and above what they currently earn, they might do things like go on a few more holidays, learn a few more skills, do some things they've always wanted to do, which would generate happiness. Or you could simply work on a great relationship and save yourself the hassle. Now, in the after effect of that, if you have a happy relationship and you lose that person through death or whatever mechanism, it equates to a negative $308,000 a year loss. So you can see how powerful it is. We're talking about almost $500,000 swing between having a good relationship and losing a good relationship. So you want to maintain it and you want to hold on to it. One of the key things I talk about in a lot of my videos is what's called the hedonistic index, which is your baseline happiness level. And your baseline happiness level is something that is innate to you, and you can work on it through meditation, but there's not many ways you can, apart from finding your true self, affect it. Most people go through life just operating at that baseline happiness level. We all know people that never seem to smile no matter what. We all know people who seem to be happy no matter the circumstances. And a lot of that is genetics. And it's really important to understand this because the happiness that comes with establishing a fantastic relationship, and maybe even we'll look at a marriage in this situation, you get about 2 years. You get about 2 years of sort of, happiness, which will allow you to sort of, work effortlessly on the relationship, look at some of that idiosyncrasies and not be so annoyed because you're extra happy. But what inevitably happens is after that 2-year period is that your brain goes, listen, this is not novel anymore. I'm used to these experiences. And it starts dropping down on the level of happiness until you reach your event happiness. So before you met that person or before you got married. Now, when that happens, quite often people think that there's something wrong because they've been living this high for 2 years. They go back to their normal happiness and they don't think it's their normal happiness. They think they're depressed. They think they're upset. They think there's something wrong. It's really important to understand that when that initial high wears off, you need to understand that that is normal because so many people start looking for answers, start perhaps flirting or looking outside the relationship for their romantic needs because they think something's wrong. There isn't anything wrong. It's absolutely normal for you to return to your baseline happiness level. And that's why you don't need a person in your life, you need a purpose in your life. And I say this to people all the time who are feeling lonely and struggling to find a partner, is that right now we need to fix your baseline happiness and find ways to increase that, because no matter how bad you feel right now, after a year or two of finding the person, the one that you think is going to fix everything, you go back to that baseline happiness. And we see it all the time with relationships failing and people not even knowing why. So they're the stats on relationships. The richness of the relationships in your life will determine the quality of your life. Will Smith said a few days ago that ultimately every cent in his life is not worth a single friendship, a rich friendship that he's had. And that's true. Sharing and romantic interests and developing these relationships are really important. And understanding the science behind them and how to keep on track with these steps is incredibly important. So we'll continue our relationship tomorrow for the next video, but until then, goodbye.